It's great to see you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the time to be able to chat with you. So I'm super excited.
Absolutely, me too. So before we get into your good work, I want to begin with, unbelievably, we're going on the 5 year anniversary of this pandemic.
Yeah.
And it did so much. We all got thrown into the unknown. Hopefully things worked out. We got out better than we began. But ultimately, how many waves of living through that has affected the way that you live and your work today?
Well, I mean, it really changed. I mean, we went remote. Of course, the business I was in before, we were already very dispersed. And so we were kind of remote before it was cool. And so that was something that was a little easier for the businesses that I was in at the time. We put together five different businesses. And so we were spread out all over the globe already. And so that wasn't as much of an adjustment. But yeah, just being at home all the time, that was a big deal. Of course, then when we pivoted into like starting this new business, we were already in this like, hey, we can be global, but like small already. And so we've got
Yeah.
people in the Philippines. I got a guy in Bolivia. Like, so we just like leveraged that into our new business. And so it really just changed the way that the world worked and the way that businesses work. Now, some have adjusted a little easier than others, but now I have to get out of my bedroom more often, right? Because
Yeah.
during the pandemic, I literally was in my bedroom like 16 or a little longer than that, like pretty much all day long. And so I had to go to Brahms to go get a hamburger every day just to get out of my room.
Yeah, for sure. So you've really had an interesting career trajectory going from aerospace to entrepreneurship and all of these things in between. So let's get to the idea of exactly what you do right now in 2025. And to do that, I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of fifth, sixth graders. It's career day. The kid in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What's your answer?
Oh yeah, I just design and sell men's underwear, right? And so
Right.
which is like, well, that's kind of weird. Like nobody does that, right? Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Especially like in my town where everybody's aerospace, or a lot of people are aerospace, and that's what I did for 20 years, and then worked at a pet products company for 5 years, and then I'm like told my wife, hey, we need to start an underwear company, and she's like, what? We don't know anything about that. I'm like, I'll figure it out. So we have Google, right? And so you can learn just about anything you want off Google and YouTube if you want to, and if you're willing to go in and jump in and do that. But that's really what we do. So I designed men's underwear that actually fits guys' body, right? Men's underwear is traditionally designed like guys don't have they don't have genitals, and
Yeah.
so we designed an ABCD pouch size classification, just similar to like a women's bra sizing, and so guys actually have products that fit their unique shape and size. So that's what we do.
That's cool. So let me ask you this. What did you want to be when you were that old? What was your dream life when you were a kid?
For some reason, I had in my head that I was going to be CEO, and I didn't even know what that meant,
Yeah.
right? And so maybe I just had some like I was some power thing trip when I was the sixth grader. But literally, I wrote a letter. Like our my sixth grade teacher had us write a letter to ourselves, like as an adult,
Yes.
like what you wanted to be. And for some reason, that's what I wanted. And I grew up in a small little farming town in southern Utah. I didn't even know what that meant, so I don't know where that idea even came from. But I always had this kind of entrepreneurial like bent, and so I still might like kids' pencils and Pogs. Back when I was younger, there's things called Pogs. This stupid little game, and so like I was always trying to figure out ways to like sell stuff to make money. And so I think it was just I wanted to start a business even from when I was young, not necessarily running some like global enterprise, but I just wanted to have something where I was running my own thing. So.
We did that in the fourth grade. That was such a great year. I remember the fourth grade, and I wish I could grab that letter because that would have just been it would have been illuminating to see what I was thinking. I can't even imagine what I would have wrote down um, to myself at that point. But anyway, yeah, that's interesting. So talk to me a little bit about the foundational seeds that were planted. You, where were you born and raised? What gave you these ideas of being in aerospace and being a CEO? What were those elements that were planted into you that grew and evolved into who you are today?
Well, I grew up in this small little town in southern Utah. It was just like 2,500 people, right? So super, super tiny. Like I was related to anybody, everybody, and anybody, and so like my world was actually really small growing up. And then I had a teacher that I had an opportunity to work for on a farm, and he kind of helped me see. He'd lived in Japan and traveled a fair amount, and so like he started to open my eyes to the different parts of the world. And when I went after I graduated from high school, I actually went on a trip with him to Italy and Greece and Turkey and like all over like Eastern Europe. And so that kind of opened my eyes. And then I lived in Canada for 2 years. I was actually a missionary for my church in Canada for a couple of years. And when I was in Vancouver in particular, and particularly there's people from all over the world. So it's super crazy. Literally, like everybody I knew that was black was all from they were all from Africa. Like
Yeah.
literally people from like all over the place. Like the one congregation I was in, 26 different nationalities. And so that really opened my eyes and just seeing the world in a different way, and that one that people are the same regardless of where you go all over the world. There's good people, there's bad people everywhere. And so that that kind of opened my eyes as far as the way things could work globally, like business and the way things were connected. And the aerospace, that really just I was putting myself through college, and I worked at a furniture factory. I was married. I got married right after I started school, and I worked at a furniture factory and got laid off. They shut the factory down, and I was looking for a job. And I was this close to being a telemarketer, and then I got this job in an aerospace company, and that's how I put myself through college. And then I leveraged that into coming to work for Boeing in Wichita. And then 20 years later, and that was really good to me. I learned a lot working for Boeing, Spirit AeroSystems, Textron Aviation, so a lot of big aerospace companies. But I always wanted to work for myself, and I did take a stint for 2 years. I moved to Idaho, started a furniture business, totally random. Again, I was doing pool tables, bedroom, dining furniture, lots of different stuff, but I didn't have a lot of money, right? And so that's the hard thing when you start a business. It kind of takes some capital. And housing market crashed in Boise, and we had to shut that down. I came back to Spirit AeroSystems, and so it's easier to learn on somebody else's dime.
Yeah.
And so I figured that out with the large businesses. It's like, hey, I can add value to them. I can learn
Yeah.
and get some more experience and save up some money that allows me to actually go and launch something, because it takes a fair amount of money to launch inventory type business like we have.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, who's been kind of an inspirational force for you in your career and the work you've done, a hero of sorts?
Oh, inspiration. As far as with there were some guys that I worked with at the pet products company I came from, and those guys, Ted and Andy, which most people wouldn't know them, that they were the founders of one of the small businesses that we acquired as part of this pet products company, and they went from nothing to selling $18 million a year in cat scratchers and dog beds and things, and so with no assets, no nothing, and they just grew this business and just off their hard work and really just identifying where there was gaps in the market where people they would go and look at Amazon reviews and see where there people were selling a lot of stuff, but they had really bad reviews. And so they would go and take those products and just make them better and make them look better, make them function better. And so they're just adding value to people, right? And so not just trying to make something cheaper, but their stuff actually cost a little more. But the thing is that I liked about them is they grew this business really well. They provided really good products, and then they were just really good people. They had a lot. They operated with honesty and integrity. They trained and taught. Like they were willing to share. Like some people like maybe they just hold on to knowledge and it's like this top secret thing and they're not willing to share. They were just willing to teach and mentor and share. And so like I really looked up to them. So that's really where I learned about selling on Amazon was from these guys. Even though I wasn't like working with them, I was the VP of administration at this company, but I kind of learned from the periphery and saw how they operated and like, hey, I want to operate like Ted and Andy. So they were really good inspiration, which again, no, very few of the viewers would really know these guys, but they're absolutely amazing. So,
So, the life of an entrepreneur and your career arc, you got to take risks.
mhm.
What's the biggest risk that you've taken so far?
Oh, well, just going and starting this business, right? Just
Yeah.
tell them, hey, we're going to go and take our life savings and we're going to go buy a bunch of underwear, right? And so, like, just think about, as far as the people who are listening here, like, how would that go over with your significant other if you just like randomly go to them one day and say, hey, I think we should drop 200K on some underwear and I think it'll be great, right? Yeah, I know we've never sold on Amazon, we've never sold any apparel, we've never done anything like that, but I think this will be really big, right?
Yeah.
Or go tell that to a banker, right? So, yeah, this is going to be amazing, right? So,
So, for all of those entrepreneurs that exist in the world that have done what you're doing, they had an idea, they brought it to fruition, they're getting it out, they're working hard to get out there. What entrepreneur who has come up with a product exists out there that you would love to meet and talk to that might help you on your journey?
that I haven't met. Well, I mean, there's the Dude Wipes guy. Like I'm losing his name right now. But there's a couple guys. I mean, they've just come up with weird products and that met that. Oh, I wish I had his name. Right. I follow him LinkedIn. I'm always like everything he's posted. I'm like, there's some things, he can be a little crass at times, but as far as having a concept and nobody believing in it, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go up and the under or the toilet paper industry,
Yeah,
right? And just totally with this higher priced product, right? And just like nobody believes in you, and you have this contrarian idea, and you're willing to just go and attack it and just keep fighting and exercise, grit. Peter Thiel talks a lot about that, right? Uh, Having a contrarian idea. There's some things I don't necessarily align with him politically, but like just conceptually and from a business standpoint, he talks about going from zero to something, right? To one, right? So you're taking something that doesn't exist and you're creating a new product. And oftentimes it's something's very contrarian, right? That other people don't believe in, right? And that's really what a lot of artists are doing, right? They're just like they're creating something that's new. In some cases, it is like a mixture. You're kind of mashing up things that really different elements that are out there, and you're creating something new from those elements. But a lot of artists, I see a lot of entrepreneurs as artists. They're just like creating with different clay,
yeah.
and but you got to be willing to just kind of go against the grain, and there's going to be voices that say, "Oh, that's stupid. That's this. That's that," and they're going to criticize. A lot of times, those people are just they want to do something different, but they are afraid to, and so like you got to just be willing to be different and have people like hating on you. Because the things that are the guys that people that are haters, like initially, after you start to have some success, they're like, "Oh, I know, I thought I knew that was a great idea," right? And they then they're actually like backers, later on. But oh, I thought of that. I just didn't do it,
Yeah,
right? So,
absolutely. So the guy, is it Sean Riley?
yeah, 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 yeah,
The chief executive dude
yeah,
is what
yeah,
his
yes.
title is.
Yeah,
Very
it's
nice.
totally real, right? So he's
Yeah,
not like puffed up, not just like, hey, this is who I am, this is what
sure.
we're trying to do, like, and just very, very real. And he's super supportive of entrepreneurs as well, like people sending products, and he'll go do like videos, like spotlighting small businesses and things like. So you can just send him stuff. I haven't tried doing that yet. Like, I need to go send him a whole bunch of underwear, and that might freak him out. But
Yeah,
like, he's just super real, and so I appreciate that.
yeah.
Very, very genuine.
He would probably dig it for sure. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this. How do you balance this life of being a CEO, taking this big risk, working hard to get this company going? You're a family guy, you got all these things, you got your own soul that you got to protect. What gets you up every day and allows you to do this at the highest possible level?
Well, it's really, I mean, my family. I mean, my wife and I are 50-50 on the business. And so we work together, and I have 7 sons. And so they like to eat and have a house. And so that's really what motivates me is, supporting my family and getting to the point where, hey, we're just financially stable. But then also, a piece of that is creating something that is going to change the world, right? And going to make people's lives better. And some people are like, how does underwear make people's lives better? Well, it's a small little thing, right? And so like we think about like how the world is improved. It's not just these massive big things. It's a lots of little things, right? So it's a lot of different entrepreneurs like going and making small little choices to improve different parts of people's lives. And that's what we're trying to do. And so like with one creating better products, but another part of our mission is to give guys better language so they can communicate more effectively about their bodies in a non-sexual way with their significant others, with their medical professionals, with their kids. And so just be able to talk about those things, because either guys don't talk about their bodies or it's just this sexualized type thing. And so that's a mission of the business as well. So those are the like the core things, my family, right? Providing good products to people, and then helping change, hopefully a little bit, that we can change our part of the world and make it a little better and help improve guys' lives.
It's interesting because especially in the world of underwear, I remember in late high school, early college, it was like we would be like, "Are you a boxer brief guy?" And then it
Yeah.
was like boxer briefs. They came together, and there's
Yeah.
been these little things, and I think that's the interesting thing about the evolution of so many products that exist on the landscape. Is there's people like you that are like, you know what, this isn't working. There's not one thing that's going to work for everybody, and that's the way I think underwear is for dudes. It's like you
Yeah.
got this or you got this, and they're basically the same thing, but there's a different logo on it, right?
Yeah.
So how did this happen? How did you finally get to a point where it's like, I got to have a different world. I got to be wearing something different.
Yeah, so a lot of big brands are they're thought of just innovation is just making the logo bigger or changing
Yeah.
the colors, right? Changing the print or things like that. And so, some of it's marketing. So Jockey really changed the way that, like with boxer briefs, I mean, they were a big part of driving that change back in the early 80s. And having something that was maybe a little more form fitting and that sort of thing. But yeah, and there's other brands like the Hanes and these that kind of just tagged along with that and just followed some market trends. But it was more about like a design versus actually fit, like something that actually feels really well. The thing is, like with a lot of men's products, traditionally, like if you go back like 10, 15 years, even 80% of men's underwear is actually purchased by females. It's not purchased for guys, right? So it's spouses, it's girlfriends, it's moms, it's grandma, right? And so like they're not necessarily thinking or understanding the fit, right? How that actually feels. And guys just take it, right? So they just like accept this product. This is what I've been wearing since I'm 5, right? And I just get the big boy version, right? So I instead of having Superman on my underwear, I just have like whatever.
Yeah.
And so like guys just accept that's how like that's what's available in the marketplace and really just don't explore. They're just kind of creatures of habit in a lot of ways. And so they just keep doing that. It's just small, medium, large, and they just accept that. And then the brands just keep pushing that same sort of thing, just trying to bring the price down. And so like I was trying to find something that actually fit my body. So I literally purchased 1,000 different sets from all over the world, trying to find stuff that fit better and felt better. And I found some products that did, and they had a pouch, all right, so they had some space for a guy because men's underwear is designed as if guys are just Ken dolls and on genitals. And so like I found some stuff that had some space, but it was like Mega Man size or it's Superman, so there's not like the standardization. I'm like, do I know that I'm Mega Man size or I'm like Prime Man size or like what does this mean? And so like how do we come up with a standardized sizing method so that guys can actually find something that fits them? Because most dudes, I mean, a significant portion of dudes don't even know what waist size they are, let
Yeah.
alone like a pouch size. And so, like, unless you come up with some sort of standard, it's really hard for guys to actually find something. And so, what we try to do is, we provide those different standardized pouch sizes, and then if guys order from us, and we just say, hey, order a large with a B size. B is the average size U.S. male, and then once you try that, if that doesn't work, I will just send you another size. So you don't have to do a return. I hate returns. Only one that makes money on returns is UPS, and so like we will just send you the other size because once a guy gets dialed in, and they find something they like, they're going to be super loyal and
Yeah.
they're going to keep doing that. And so we want to help. If they're going to be committed to us, we're going to help them find a set that works well for them. And so sometimes it takes 2 or 3 shipments back and forth to help them kind of dial that in. Since we're not selling in stores, but we can't really effectively sell in stores because we have 36 sizes. It's like a custom fit without the custom price. And so that doesn't just work really well on a Walmart or Target when you have 36 sizes. And so online works a lot better for us. But so we're going to be committed to help guys find that. And so find their size. Because once they do, then they'll just come and buy. We literally have customers that have purchased every single product that we make, which is super cool. So
Yeah. That's awesome. So I remember in career day when I was a kid, there was at one point somebody said that there's a chance that you're going to go through 7 to 10 different career changes,
yeah,
And being a kid of the 80s, you're just like, whoa, because my parents had primarily 1 or 2 careers, one career, and it's
yeah.
like that's a lot. So when I'm thinking and I look at your resume, I'm wondering one thing. I'm needling in on aerospace. How did that knowledge base of all of those years of being in that world allow you to do what you're doing today, to be innovative, coming up with something and being your own boss?
Well, the part of the aerospace thing, if you looked at it, I worked at a couple different aerospace companies, but I had very weird and different jobs there. So I kind of put myself through a career rotation program where I worked in finance, operations, supply chain, engineering function. So I went through a lot of different functions. The thing is, I didn't do were like marketing, and so which I do a lot of that now, right? So I learned on those companies, dollars in a way, but added value. I mean, I was blessed to have a lot of different opportunities to be able to add a lot of value and participate. And so I had some great mentors at those businesses that gave me good opportunities to add value to them. But I was able to explore and be involved in very different parts of the business as I kind of moved around. And so now when I took a lot of that, when we talk about our products, they're very heavily engineered. That's the other thing that doesn't you just don't see in men's underwear is we think a lot about the materials, a lot about the design, and how it actually how things are actually supported and how they actually work. So I'll just super quick like point, right? So this is our pouch, and it looks kind of odd, right? So this is our external pouch.
Yeah.
It sticks out a lot, right? But the reason that this it's designed this way is it's actually a cantilever design,
Yeah.
right? And so it's similar to like a truss. And so a guy doesn't fill this entire pouch out. He you put it on, and then this material stretches,
Sure.
right? And that's what provides support. So it's like a suspension system. So it actually supports you without smashing you. A lot of
Yeah.
guys confuse compression with support. So this is what support looks like. So it's actually like supporting you versus smashing you. So we think a lot about like the design of the body, how the body is positioned, where guys hold their fat, like in their waist. So that determines where we place our waistband, the size of our waistband. And so we're really designing around the diversity of different bodies. Because the thing is, guys' bodies are very different. You have some guys that hold their weight low, some hold it high, right? So we design our waistbands lower to try to be below the stomach to prevent waistband rolling and things like that. Now, some guys want to hold, have something up over their belly button. And so like that we're probably not going to fit those guys as well. But a lot of it depends on where they hold where their weight is held and where their package is positioned because the guys are different, very, very
Sure.
different. And so we think about that with our designs and our materials, like how do we leverage the combination of the design and the materials to be able to optimize for a diversity of body shapes and styles.
That's interesting. So let me ask you this. If you walked into a room full of people that you've known in a business sense, colleagues, everyone that's bought your underwear, everyone that knows you in a business sense, and you walk through that sea of people and go up to a podium and you can tell them one fun thing about you that would humanize you or one fun story, what would you tell them?
Oh, one fun story. Well, the people that actually know me, um, so they know me or they don't know me?
They know you. They would know you in a business sense, not on a personal sense, but you could knock them down with a really good fun story.
Oh, yeah. So that's a really good question.
Maybe a fun
Maybe I'm
celebrity encounter, something fun.
well, I guess one of the oddest things I've done. I've been to Dracula's castle. That was really an
Oh,
interesting
cool.
sort of story. So when you take an experience, when I was in high school, I went to Dracula's castle and Vlad the Impaler, right? And yeah, and so we have these different stories and myths in our minds, right, regarding different people, and it's just very interesting that it's all just people, right? And so some things kind of get blown up, and we kind of say, oh, these people are like this weird or this different, but at the end of the day, they're just people, whether they're good people or they're bad people, right? And so that's kind of I guess an interesting, it was kind of fun, but I probably need to think about that a little more,
Yeah.
right? And have a better story. But so I went to his castle, so that was very interesting. But to see both, he was not a nice guy, right? So there's a reason that he has a reputation that he has, but then it kind of became blown up. But so I see that with entrepreneurs and other types of leaders as well, right? Fundamentally, they're just people, right? So whether they're good people or bad people, but they're just people. So.
Yeah, I dig it. So let's say you have a dream tonight, run into the 18-year-old version of you. You could give
Mhm.
that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've lived, the wisdom you've accumulated. What advice would you impart on that young version of you?
Oh, don't be afraid to take risks and fail. And so just try more. But then also I would actually like try harder in school and university. Not to get good grades, but to really just learn and take the opportunity to learn from mentors that are around you, whether those are professors, and focus on actual learning versus grades, right? So grades don't matter so much
Yeah.
from my perspective, but really learning from people that really know what they're doing. And so as you see people around you, just be a sponge and be willing to ask questions and not be afraid to look stupid. And so those people that are not afraid to ask questions, they're going to learn a lot more. So there's a guy that's a leader in my church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So he's one of the top leaders. So he was a professor at Stanford, but his dad was actually won the Nobel Prize, right? So Eyring, his last name's Eyring, Henry Eyring, right? So he studied thermodynamics. So super brilliant guy. But his son will tell stories about where they're like in Oregon, and there's a guy that's pumping gas for them, and his dad was just sitting there just quizzing and just quizzing the guy down. And so here's this like PhD, like Nobel Prize winner, and he's asking the pump attendant like everything he can about what he's doing and what he knows. And so just very humble and willing to learn from anyone, regardless of who they are. And so that's what I try to be is like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm humble enough. And because one of my drawbacks is I'm proud, right? And I'm very proud, and I look down and this is a sin of mine. And so trying to just be willing to listen and learn from anybody. And so that's one of my aspirations. And so just and not being afraid to look dumb, right? Because I
Yeah.
don't know something.
Yeah. So I'm going to mention pride, not in a bad way. It's my
Yeah.
next question. But of everything that you've done, accomplished, and evolved into at this point, what are you the proudest of?
Oh, that I tricked my wife into marrying me. So that yeah, she's amazing, right? And so she's just very faithful and just great. So she's supportive and hardworking, and so she's just absolutely amazing. And so I don't necessarily deserve her, but I convinced her to marry me a long time ago, and been married for 25 years and seven sons later. And so she's got more beautiful like inside and out as we've aged. And so that's the thing I'm most proud of is the relationship I have with her. So,
Right on. So, Jared, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone that buys your product, but you
mhm.
run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh, who do I think I am? I sometimes I think I'm a poser or a fake, where you're this imposter at times, right? So you're trying to do certain things and be a leader in different areas, and it's like, okay, I'm not as good, but as maybe some people think I am. But I find that like if you're just willing to show up, there's a lot of opportunities for those that just are willing to do and show up and try. And so there's a lot of people around that are a lot more capable than I am. They're a lot smarter than I am. And I learned this when I was younger, right? There's a lot of people when I went to work for Boeing, there's people coming from all these Ivy League schools, big schools, whatever, big pedigrees, and way smarter than I am. But I found that because I'm willing to show up and I'm willing to work really hard, I can tend to like exceed the capabilities that these other people have because I work harder and I'm maybe more stubborn, have a little more grit, and so it's allowed me to have opportunities that others have it, and then those opportunities just count compounded over time. And so I view myself as a hard worker and somebody that's just willing to show up and just keep trying even when you get kicked and you fail and you have problems, and sometimes the problems are of my own making. Sometimes it's somebody else doing something, but we just are willing to keep going and even take risks the older that we get. So it's harder as you get older to take risks because you have family, you have kids in college, and there's just a bigger mortgage and different things like that. And so there can be bigger risks. It's a little easier to take risks when you're younger and you don't have all the financial liabilities that you have when you're older.
For sure. So, if anyone wants to reach out to the Real Men Apparel Company, find out more about what's going on, reach out to you, any of the good business, where do they go?
Just rmac.store is our website, rmac.store. And so you can contact us there. Of course, we're all over the socials, right? So TikTok, just Google Real Men Apparel Company or search on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, of course, LinkedIn. It's just Jared Mortensen. So you just ping me there. And so I'm pretty open as far as connection requests and try to help people out. So I've been helped with a lot of mentors, a lot of people that have given back to me. And that's part of why I want to be on more podcasts and presenting a little more because I have been really, really blessed. And so I want to try to share and help other people that are trying to get started and are unsure. And there's some people that should start businesses. There's some people that probably shouldn't, or maybe they shouldn't right now. They need to go and get a little more training. And some that are young and they have an idea and they might be 16, 17 and they have enough that they can just start now. They just need the little encouragement to say, hey, you should just go and do it.
For sure. No, this has been wonderful and inspirational. Jared, thank you. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. Best of luck with everything. It's always great to be kind of in the local community. You're right there in Wichita, so it's all good. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate the time. It's been super awesome.
Absolutely. Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit joedimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.